It's time to call it like I see it before it even happens. This is Mike Said It First. I am your host, Michael Carvelis. It's Michael, Karvelis on Twitter. NFL Sunday and Thursday wrapped up, and we have some news to get to. On the track today, Dolphins and Ravens, who's to blame? Steelers, Patriots, Cowboys, Giants, Cardinals, Lions, tie, Antonio Brown, of course, and more. With that being said, let's go and start off with our first topic of the day. Is Miami really tanking that much? In case you live under a rock on Sunday or you were just sleeping all day, Lamar Jackson, yes, that Lamar Jackson from Louisville, the former Heisman winner, went 17 of 20 with 5 touchdowns, including 2 to Hollywood Brown. Yes, that Hollywood Brown from Oklahoma. And both of those, out of the 5 that Lamar Jackson threw, were over 40 yards apiece. The first player ever to have 2 touchdowns like that. Not even Deshaun Jackson was able to do that, although he was electric again yesterday, but Mike said it first. So, Lamar Jackson looked incredible. It's interesting to note that John Harbaugh did say the Ravens would look better and that they would look new on offense. And I think bringing in Colin Kaepernick's old quarterback coach was pretty good. Like, I don't know if every team's going to be like the Dolphins and do this, but 17-20 with 5 touchdowns is 17-20 with 5 touchdowns. I don't care if it's against the Patriots, hush, or against the Dolphins. Like, I don't care. But then it gets to this point that Twitter went crazy about, because you know I live on Twitter, right? I should be in a tree with the birds. Dolphins players reportedly demanded trades due to a lack of coaching. Like, they felt the coaches really were tanking. What? Who? I don't understand why. I get the tanking narrative that who wants to be a part of that, but you got beat 59-10. I understand that I say that Bill Belichick is the reason Tom Brady is as good as he is. But make no mistake, Tom Brady has to make some throws that I'll get later on. I'll get to on the next topic. Tom Brady still has to make some of those throws. So you can draw up all these nice schemes all you want to, but for players to have the nerve after being blown to bits 59-10, we want out because of the coaching. No, you want out because you sucked, and now you have a crutch to lean on. So you're going to say it's because the Dolphins want Trevor Lawrence or Tua, or God forbid if they choose Jake Fromm, they probably will, but that's just me. So I'm trying to figure out why people are like saying the Dolphins are this bad. Listen, I get it. Dolphins had a bad game. But you act like 59-10 is going to happen all season long, you got another thing coming. Now, granted, next week the Patriots come to town, and AB is in that game, Antonio Brown. Rest in peace. I think Patriots might score like 38-45 points. If Vegas had an over-under of like 50, I would go under. So that's like my little Las Vegas insert here, just letting you guys know. If it is like 50, I'm going under. I'm just saying. Like, if it's 45, yeah, just say it covers it. But that's not the point. The point I'm trying to get to is you cannot lean on your coaches tanking because their jobs are on the line too. You know, people can say that, oh, this, that, and the other about how the Dolphins coaches are terrible and they're tanking and all this stuff, but wasn't like coaches like Hugh Jackson fired because their teams were doing so bad? But weren't those type of teams tanking? Yes, they were. And it's so obvious you're taking the organization wants the coaches to screw up and tells them to screw it up. Why do coaches get fired a year afterwards? That's not to save face. If they have a chance to win a game, they will. You got outmatched by a team that's up and coming. The Ravens are for real. And people also like to use the narrative of tanking so they can say that Lamar Jackson still sucks. Listen, I don't care who you are or who you play against. 85% and 5 touchdowns is not even fair. But RG3 threw a touchdown. No, he threw a screenplay to Mark Andrews, who was exceptional. He's on my fantasy team. But the point is, don't act like you can just use the tanking narrative and it's the Dolphins and they weren't playing. Now the players want to, I told you so. No. Lamar Jackson was impressive and he should be given credit. And I'm going to be the one to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Number 2. Was Tom Brady declining in front of our eyes? Now, before you click on and say that you watch Sports Talk Barry or whatever, the Barry guy who uses the Addiction Network guy on Twitter. You know, the guy who breaks down Brady throws as if they're so hard, but like he mocks Tom Brady. I'm not that guy. Tom Brady threw for 314 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he had some really ugly throws. Like, that has to be mentioned. The stats will build up to his legacy, and he was the greatest of all time. I get it. That people say that about him. I understand that, and there's no convincing you otherwise. It's like if Michael Jordan is not as good as LeBron. You cannot convince a Jordan fan that LeBron is better. You just because people are set in their ways. That's the glory of sports. But Tom Brady threw some ducks. Guys, Brady, now with this weapon core, he could play till 45, but if that happened last night, I don't care how many yards you throw. The only thing holding this man up right now is conditioning. It's not talent. I mean, it never was. 6th-round draft pick. But my point is, conditioning is holding him upright. The TB12, I don't care if it's cheating or not, the little method that he has, TB12 that he uses is keeping him at least able to throw for that much yards. I don't care how many times he has to dink and dunk. He still has conditioning, but how far can that get him? I'm just saying. Ben Roethlisberger, 1 passing touchdown and 2 interceptions. Al Michaels and it was Chris Collinsworth on the NBC broadcast who said that Big Ben told them, oh, well, he said they tell them that, oh, it doesn't matter about playing in New England, but there was a feeling around the organization that they really do want to win in New England under Big Ben. And Big Ben throws 2 interceptions and blows the game in the first half. As great as Bill Belichick was, Big Ben has to be held accountable. I get Juju was being locked down. He was obviously the defensive focus. James Conner was running nowhere fast. James Washington was overthrown like 3 times by Big Ben, and that has to be talked about. Began to sound like it was all about Bill Belichick outcoaching Tomlin, although he outcoached the living heck out of Mike Tomlin. Like, Mike Tomlin has got to be embarrassed right now. Embarrassed that his team put up 3 points against a 42-year-old quarterback. I don't care I don't care if the dude's name is John Doe. You scored 3 points. Now, granted, the Rams scored 3 points, but that's a whole other issue. Mike Tomlin's got to be ashamed, but Big Ben must be better. Cowboys-Giants. The Cowboys blew out the Giants after a pretty interesting start by the Giants, but it quickly dwindled down. But Dak Prescott threw for 405 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the main story was Boise State quarterback. The only one I can think, I can't, you know what's funny, I cannot name any, I don't think I can name any MAC or whatever the conference they're in quarterback unless there's one in the NFL who's doing well right now. But Kellen Moore, I remember very vividly because Kellen Moore is the left-handed quarterback that broke records at Boise State and flopped in the NFL, and now he's the offensive coordinator with the Cowboys. And it's not just Jason Garrett calling the plays. Kellen Moore is actually calling the plays. Guys, Kellen Moore, has he unlocked Dak Prescott? Or was that, quote, just the Giants, end quote? Like, again, people will make the argument that Alabama would not be able to beat an NFL team. But then they'll get on Twitter and say, it's the Giants or it's the Dolphins. Well, which one is it? If it's the Giants or it's the Dolphins, that means the Bama could probably beat them. But they're college. But you're acting like they're not, that the Dolphins or, in this case, the Giants aren't an NFL team. Dak threw for 405 yards and 3 touchdowns and threw some really nice passes in that game. But, oh my goodness, guys, Kellen Moore and you know what, darn these people, I told them it would happen. But Kellen Moore looks sensational as their offensive coordinator. So I was like choking on like my own breath there. But Kellen Moore looked incredible as an offensive coordinator. Like Dak Prescott throwing forget 3 touchdowns, 405 yards by Dak. Listen, I was one of the first people to jump on Dak's bandwagon when he took over for Tony Romo. I thought he was very good. And I think he's still pretty good. Have I lost some hope? Yeah, Mike said it first. I lost some hope in the guy I kind of may have sort of did hype up. But Kellen Moore. Oh my gosh. And Zeke, the best part about it, I get it's the Giants, but Giants looked like they came to play early. They weren't screwing around. And Tony Pollard, this preseason dynamo, was getting good touches. But Zeke was not just running. Zeke was getting passes. The whole knock on Zeke is, well, he doesn't have the passing game that Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell has. Well, congratulations, you played yourself because Kellen Moore has unleashed the Zeke. But he's unlocked Dak Prescott. I think Cowboys look really good. That was not a fluke either. I believe the Ravens and the Cowboys were not flukes. Those teams look good for a reason. Cardinals and the Lions ended in a 27-27 tie. But Kyler Murray, you know, the first pick in the draft, he's 5'9" of nothing. He went to Oklahoma, broke Baker Mayfield's passing records at Oklahoma. He was the Heisman, blah, 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 blah. You know, Kyler Murray. That Kyler Murray threw an interception, and the Cardinals were down 24-8 entering the fourth quarter. But God forbid the clutch gene in everybody that they think exists, because Kyler Murray then goes crazy, and it ends in overtime at 27-27. Kyler, to his credit, was visibly disappointed when Cliff Kingsbury, their rookie, unproven, terrible head coach, punted with under a minute left in OT. The reason being was if you gave the Lions the ball back at the 46, it was pretty much like you get 10 yards and you're kicking a field goal and you might win it with Matt Prater. But that was the deal. Although Kyler got on a hot streak, the offense had kind of bogged down. But Kyler was visibly frustrated. He didn't really show it a lot, but you could still see that he was kind of disappointed. Even to the point when that moron dropped the ending pick that could have won the game with like 2 seconds left. Kyler was jumping up and down like, whoa! And then he was like, oh, come on. Him and Christian Kirkwood could not believe that dropped an interception when the Lions did eventually get the ball back. But how good can Kyler Murray be? You know what? I mentioned on Twitter, because Kyler Murray apparently has a Twitter, which I don't know who knew about this, but his Twitter is literally at K1. Like, where was this my whole life? Anyways, he goes on Twitter and says, I learned a lot of lessons in #BirdGang. Listen, Kyler impressed me in college, but how much validation, and nobody's talking about this, it's just Kyler's comeback, and he was very good. Guys, Kyler Murray is 5'9" with shoes, or 5'10". We'll give him 5'10", just for the benefit of the doubt. But the play that brought up the punt, and a few plays in that game, but the play that brought up the punt, Kyler threw it, didn't jump, just threw it from the pocket. 2 defensive tackles jumped up like trees and batted the ball away when a wide open receiver was running behind them. understand that Drew Brees is 6 feet. But 5'9" and 6 feet is different. I'm going to tell you why. Imagine you have a 6'4" offensive lineman. When you crouch down, it's about 6 feet, you're kind of leveled out. They don't crouch down to 5'9". And I was kind of knocking the people that said it's a height issue, but doing that kind of math and seeing they batted down like 5 different passes, including the one that could have sealed the game that nobody's talking about because it was just an incomplete pass, that's a problem. That's a problem. I don't know how you get around that problem. You can't just bootleg every play. You can't just get Kyler to jump in the air and throw a dart down the field. These boys are monsters. And if I'm you, if I'm Vegas, I'm picking every team that has stud defensive tackles. I am picking them against the Cardinals. Even if Kyler Murray is putting up 40 points a game against other teams. If a team has a defensive line like the Lions, pick against the Cardinals. They had like 5 deflected passes, and one of them cost Kyler Murray the game. Although he played great. But that's going to be an issue. I'll give you credit. As for the Lions, Matt Patricia, here's the high points of his career. Bill Belichick's defensive coordinator, and he beat Bill Belichick last year. But Bill won the Super Bowl. Like, Matt Patricia is trash. And another edition of I Was Wrong, Mike said it second. Or Mike said it wrong for crying out loud. Matt Patricia, I was kind of high on him. Guys, 24-8 is 24-8. I don't give a... Guy, we get that Kyler Murray is good. We get the game was in a tie, and I'm going to get to that in a stinking minute. But 24-8 is 24-8. If you are a defensive-minded coach and you allow that to happen in his first game, that's an issue. And Matt Stafford's still overrated, but that's none of my business. Okay! Time to talk about the overtime issue, because I know a lot of you are like, it was a tie, how dare they? Now I'm going to give you guys a little bit of something here. If you want to see, look at my likes on Twitter, but not too far back, I'm kidding. Look at my likes on Twitter, and you're going to see this tweet, because I don't have the guy's username in front of me because I'm an unprepared idiot. The person tweeted out that why don't they just have a sudden death after the fourth quarter ends? And then there was another guy who said about a kicker shootout, which would literally become a shootout, because if when the overtime ends, you get kickers like Cody Parkey to have a shootout with another kicker like soccer, Cody Parkey might get shot in Chicago in the stadium. I mean, I'm being honest with you. Fans would riot over that rule. The college rule, yeah, but the NFL's not going to resort to that rule. The overtime rule where after they have it in overtime, they do something about it, I get it. But the best rule change suggestion I saw was from a fan that I might have been the only guy that liked and retweeted his tweets. But God forbid if I did. This dude said, at the end of the fourth quarter, each team, well, not even each team, if fourth quarter runs out, one team has the ball. If they score, they win it, and that's it. There is no in between. There is no tie. Because if you think about it, that would be a really good rule. And then there might be some loopholes, and what if this happens? Listen, shut up. They can make rules to counteract those points that you're making. That's a really good rule change. Sudden death, that way they want... Because people say, well, we don't want to play an extra overtime rule period, or Patrick Mahomes didn't get the ball against Tom Brady. Listen, if you have a sudden death, and that is it, bam, it's over. Well, technically they already do that because, like I said, I brought up the Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes game last year. Tom Brady only had the ball once, and the game was over in 2 minutes. So why not, instead of playing overtime, just do it like that anyways? What's the point? Because you have these ties that end up happening because one team kicks a field goal and the other team kicks a field goal. But what if the field goal just happens like the old rules? Forget an overtime. Just put no time on the clock and just have an overtime. Just have a sudden death. To the death we go. Okay, so my last of the main topics, and then we'll get to the Browns Mitchell Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes, and Atlanta Falcons, who put up a duck instead of a falcon, but that's none of my business. Antonio Brown, the saga just gets better. We're 20 minutes in, by the way. Antonio Brown posted a recorded phone call of John Gruden to his YouTube channel. I'm going to do my best impression of Frank Caliendo. Hey, what's up, Coach? How you doing? Antonio Brown, obviously. Hey, Coach, how you doing, man? Hey, Antonio, I just want to know, what's going on. I don't care what's going on off the field. Nah, man, I feel like everybody, just overlooking me, you know what I'm saying, man? Antonio, I don't care about that stuff, man. Just go ahead and play some football, man. Okay, that was a terrible... I did a better Antonio Brown impression than I did a John Gruden impression. But I advise you watching that Nike. I'm kidding, it's not Nike, but it looks like Nike. I advise you to watch that video on YouTube. Or find it on Twitter. Because that was what ended up being the end-all, be-all for Antonio Brown. Forget the fact that they ended up mutually parting ways, so it wasn't just you're fired. It was like, okay, we're just releasing you because you're an idiot. And Antonio Brown says, yeah, I know I'm an idiot. And it wasn't the helmet grievance that happened like 2 or 3 times. And God forbid if it wasn't calling the GM a cracker. Like, you darn offensive fool, you called me a cracker. Like, people think... Stephen A. Smith gets on Get Up this morning and says, I don't know how y'all feel about being called a cracker. I'll let y'all deal with that like talking to the white people. I'm like, dude, maybe I'm the only white person that doesn't care. I don't care how much you try to insult me. When I read the word cracker or hear the word cracker, I'm laughing at you in your face. I think nothing less than a cheese cracker, like a grilled cheese Lance cracker. Like, that's... Anyway, I wanted to mention that because I thought that was funny. He called him a cracker. How dare you? Well, listen, I don't think crackers are concerned as much as people think they are. But Antonio Brown, after all that baloney, he signs with the Patriots, and I'm like, thank you. If the only people who have had a worse offseason than the Steelers, the only people who have had a close to offseason worse than the Steelers are the Colts. Like, we lost Andrew Luck, and now Antonio Brown signs with the Patriots. Like, Colts and Steelers are having a terrible offseason. But, bold prediction, and I know that there was news today or a picture that Antonio Brown posted a picture of his new money and says the Patriot way, and that's kind of looking stupid. As much as I hate to say what I'm about to say, we have to remember who Antonio Brown was before the Big Ben issue. Guys, Julio Jones and Odell were the thing. Like, my buddy Chris, who I started doing podcasts with, he's the reason I got into podcasting. I did an MCX podcast with him. Big Steelers fan. Even got Antonio Brown to follow him. Antonio Brown was not very well known market-wise. You had to convince people. Antonio Brown, after like 6 or 5 seasons in a row of 100-plus catches, that he was better than those guys. And guess what? To this day, people say he is. But I believe Antonio Brown was acting. And I was just saying, well, duh. But I'm saying, I believe the story that Antonio Brown, he contacted a social media team and says, how do I get out of this place? And they said, just post a recorded phone call. Like, I want to know who that company is. Because I want to figure out something. But they got to get a hold of Donald Trump and like, get him to get off Twitter. Because that's really gold right there. Like, hey, man, I hate my job here. What should I do on social media? Do something illegal? What a great social media expert you are. But I believe Antonio Brown will put his head back on straight in New England. I think this whole thing is just to get back at Big Ben and win a Super Bowl because he's not deserving now, but his talent is deserving of a Super Bowl, and it'll put him in the echelon to possibly the greatest receiver of all time, although Jerry Rice people will beg to differ. I believe Antonio Brown, we might not hear a peep out of him this season, and I hate saying that because I know people have been rightfully critical of this guy. But if all that stuff is true about the social media team, Antonio Brown played you, he played me, he played the piano for Beethoven. He played it. And the NFL, I don't know how on earth you let anybody get away with what he just did. But how can you take him to court? He didn't like his job, so he quit. You can't tell. Tough luck, says the Supreme Court. But oh well. 26 minutes in, you're not having fun yet. I'm sorry, but we're back. Is it time to pump the brakes on the Browns bandwagon? The Tennessee Titans blew the smithereens off the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield, the guy that you're seeing in commercials now after doing absolutely nothing, threw a touchdown. Woohoo! But threw 2 more interceptions than Mr. Trubisky did. Now, funny, I know what you're saying, well, you schmuck. Guys, Trubisky threw 1 interception only the last possession that he had in the game that I'm going to get to next. Baker threw 3 interceptions. Wow. And I know what you're thinking. Based on the narrative of this podcast so far, that it's just the Browns, it used to be just the Browns. It's just the Dolphins, or it's just the Giants. Guys, curse what Ian McQuiston says on Twitter to me. The Titans are not winning the AFC South, and the Titans are not that good. The Browns are not either. I picked the Browns to win 9 or 10 games. But I never said it'd be easy, that they'd be cakewalking to the Super Bowl like you idiots thought. Talent is smush in the NFL. You can have talent upon talent upon. You can have Jesus Christ on your team, and you will not win the Super Bowl because of God knows reasons, okay? Titans are not that good. And the Browns got washed by them. Washed. That's like, if Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott played the teams that they played and got smacked. We get that you're better. But the term any given Sunday is a term for a reason. You got washed by the Tennessee Titans. The team that wishes they were still in Houston. Just saying. I believe it's time to pump the brakes on the Browns bandwagon because that was a bad loss on your resume. I know it's not a college ranking system, but that would have made you look like fool, boy. You would look foolish in this top 25 ranking that came out. Just saying. Is Mitchell Trubisky to blame? That's what most of you said when the Packers won 10-3 on Thursday Night Football. Welcome you to the NFL for the 100th season. The final score of the first game is 10-3. This is not 1950, but God forbid it felt like it. That's the kind of football they played. It was a good game, though. I liked it. Trubisky, he threw the interception. Oh, I'm going to get to that interception a little bit because I think people should be ashamed of themselves for criticizing. How dare he throw right to the safety? Screw you, Chris Collinsworth. Don't tell me he eyed him the whole time. Allen Robinson fell. He looked like to be a foot taller than that safety in that corner, and he tripped. And then the ball, it was overthrown. No, it was not. Stop that. Twitter should be ashamed of how gullible you are. Trubisky also had a terrible offensive line. I'll be the first to admit he had bad mechanics at times. But Trubisky did not look bad. That whole team on offense is bad, and Matt Nagy is trash. He comes from Sean McVay. You've got to be kidding me, right? The guy who scored 3 points in the big game against a 41-year-old quarterback, but he comes from Shut up. That's so stupid. This dude goes on airwaves and says David Montgomery, a nice pick out of Iowa State, is a secret weapon, and watch out for this guy. And then he uses him twice. Who's he a secret to? Your opponents or you? Again, Trubisky had at times he would throw off his back foot for no reason whatsoever. But he made throws to win that game. And the Packers' defense was amazing. So, I believe Matt Nagy's more to blame than Mitchell Trubisky. Now, that's not me being biased, because I never said, go Google or Twitter search my history of what I said about Trubisky. I said he looked pretty good in college, but I didn't trust him like that. I'm a fan of Trubisky, but I am not a big fan of his. I'm being honest when I say this. People give him a bad rap for Cody Parkey, the guy who dropped the pass prior to Cody Parkey missing field goals, and Allen Robinson tripping on what could have been a pass interference, but I'm glad they didn't call it. But he tripped. And that should be accounted for, but nobody's talking about that. That's what Mike said at first. Can and will Patrick Mahomes win MVP? The first question, can he? Duh. But for those of you that did not watch, he hurt his left ankle, and that's something to be accounted for. I'm not sure if they gave him an MRI. Haven't really heard anything. But yeah, he can, but that left ankle might be a problem later on. Hopefully it's not. I'm not going to knock on wood because that's stupid and superstitious, but hopefully he's okay. The Chiefs' defense, you suck! Listen, okay, I had a feeling a quarterback that we didn't really look at in college would come out of the draft and look pretty good. I didn't think it'd be at the cost of Nick Foles or the Chiefs' defense, but Gardner Minshew, not Cashew, Gardner Minshew, M-I-N-S-H-E-W, went 22 of 25. Holy, there is no way. Guys, I get that Nick Foles is Super Bowl MVP, and rightfully so, but there's a reason nobody knew about Gardner Minshew. I'm not going to trash some like people who did Daniel Jones. I think we've learned our lesson on that, although I love Daniel Jones. But I'm not going to trash the man. But there is a reason he did not go number 6 and Daniel Jones did. He went 22 of 25. He made some nice throws, was pretty good in the pocket, but my God. That Chief, you would think when Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew comes in the game, the Chiefs would run away. Only won by like 14 or 17 points. As for Tyreek Hill, he was only out a few weeks despite injuring that left shoulder or whatever he injured. Now, granted, Patrick Mahomes be a lot tougher to win MVP without Tyreek burning emoji Hill. Because Mecole Hardman, that fast rookie out of Georgia, was not even used in the game. So Andy Reid, leave it up to Andy Reid. He's going to have to work him in there. And Patrick Mahomes will win the MVP. I'm calling it like I see it before it even happens. Patrick Mahomes, your 2019, 2020, I can't believe we're saying 2020. 2019-2020 NFL MVP. Okay, so how concerned should Atlanta fans be? Aside from the fact that the Atlanta dream of the WNBA are garbage, like, if there's one team you should mock because they're women, it's the Atlanta Dream. That's because they just suck. But the Atlanta Falcons were down 28-0 against the Vikings. Matt Ryan threw 2 interceptions. They lost 28-12. In Minnesota, I get it. And you know what? I picked the Falcons just out of pure, Mike said at first, kind of reasons because I said they were going to be a good offense. But, oh my God. This team on the road is unbelievable. Their name should be the Waste Management when they're on the road. Because they are trash on the road. At home, Falcons are one of the best teams. But God forbid. Devontae Freeman was trash, but hopefully he's still hurt. Now, the reason I say hopefully is because if he's not hurt, oh my God. We've waited for him to come back and blame injuries for this performance? Oh my, no. Kirk Cousins attempted 10 passes. Aside from, sorry for Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, although Thielen scored, aside from those guys who loved them in fantasy this season, I think Minnesota solved the problem with Kirk Cousins. He may be the $100 million man, but Kirk Cousins attempted 10 passes, and they smacked a really good NFC team. Hey, problem solved, Minnesota. We overpaid this guy. Don't use him. Oh, good idea. Whatever. But there is one other person I want to get to. Dan Quinn, you schmuck. Okay. On Dan Quinn's resume is a defensive coordinator job. It's mostly Matt Patricia. Although this guy went to the Super Bowl, and we're about to get to that. Defensive coordinator for the Seahawks for like 1 or 2 years. Looked pretty good. Goes to the Falcons. Is up 28-3. And that is your resume so far. Because these last year was trash. I get injuries were a thing. But you still were terrible. I'm kidding. You still was terrible. And you just got smacked by the Vikings when Kirk Cousins attempted 10 passes. That's Dan Quinn. You got to be held accountable because Matt Ryan has been under the coaches of Mike Smith and Dan Quinn. This cannot be blamed on Matt Ryan. Whatever. Okay. So, a lot of you know I'm a Colts fan, especially if you listen to me more than you should. I'm kidding. The Colts, of course, they lost their game to the Chargers. I don't know how we were in that game, but Brissett looked pretty good. Jacoby Brissett. As you all know, Andrew Luck retired, and I have not even addressed it. I don't even think I made a tweet about Andrew Luck, which is the weirdest thing. I've retweeted a few things, but I don't think I've actually made a drawn-out tweet. So here, leave it to the podcast. Mike said it first after 37 minutes of me talking. And when we drafted Andrew Luck, I was very high on him. Still am. He was better than RG3, and to this day, I believe that even though Chris will troll me and say, but RG3's still in the NFL. Yeah, well, Andrew Luck could be a backup too, but he chooses not to be. That's whatever. Andrew Luck was really good. He dragged us to the playoffs. Thank you, Ryan Grigson, you idiots. And thank you, Jim Irsay, for keeping him there like an idiot. But our best team was last season. And we barely had a run game. We still had no wide receivers. This dude was amazing. But as I've said before, and I hate that I was right, we did not need a quarterback. Andrew Luck has been the best quarterback in the draft, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes. Winston and Mariota have been garbage. Guys, Andrew Luck lived up to and exceeded my expectations as a Colts fan. If you chose to boo Andrew Luck, the reason was not because you didn't appreciate him, contrary to popular belief. It was because it was 2 weeks before the season started. While that may have frustrated a ton of people, based on how we looked yesterday against a team without Melvin Gordon and on the road, Andrew Luck dragged us every season he was in the NFL. Now, last season, we had a good defense, and Darius Leonard, I get that. But up to the fourth quarter of that Chargers game, we were being torched. But Jacoby Brissett's no. Brissett is not a good quarterback, I promise you. He is very inaccurate in the ball. He does not have a strong arm. I don't care. He can get it down the field. But those tight window passes, no, sir. I watched Jacoby Brissett in New England a little bit, and I watched him when he took over for Andrew Luck the first few times he was injured. Trash. Andrew Luck single-handedly kept Colts fans coming to football games. If Andrew Luck had not been on our team, we would have been worse than the Cleveland Browns, worse than the Titans, worse than the Giants, and worse than the Dolphins. We were awful. I understand and I appreciate that he was incredible, but we ruined his career. He did not ruin our season. We ruined his career. And we, as Colts fans, should be ashamed of ourselves. I don't care. Well, I'm not the Colts fan who booed. Screw you. You don't know how your initial reaction would be if you're like, oh man, there's Andrew Luck. Oh, what, he's retiring? Screw you. I might have done it out of pure idiocy or ignorance. Andrew Luck did not just walk away. He was smart enough to realize what no other player in NFL history has realized. See, injuries will force some dudes out. Andrew Luck got injured and walked out. He was not forced out by a catastrophic injury. He had multiple injuries that built up, and before he was in a wheelchair when he was 35 or 40, he walked off under his own power. The game was not fun anymore. We ruined his career. Thank you, Andrew Luck. Oh, I was waiting for the applause, but it wasn't there. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good one. We did a 42-minute episode. Holy God. I don't think I've ever done a 42-minute episode by myself. But thank you if you lasted this long. Or if you simply saw my Andrew Luck video, I'm going to post on Twitter because I thought I did amazing. Have a great one. This video is sponsored by the Mountain Dew Code Red. I'm popping open right now. I shouldn't be drinking. Didn't pay me. But guess what?